We went for
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Hi, Cheryl. How are you?
Okay, not bad. And you?
We're fine, thank you.
Good, good.
Hey, Adria, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Everybody adjusted to the time change?
Oh,
Yeah.
please. This- Why we do it anymore, I don't know. I haven't figured that one out.
I hate the dark so early. Ugh.
Oh, I agree with you.
Do. It's really, it's like, it tells my body it's time for bed.
Yeah, as soon as it gets dark, you want to go to sleep. I wish we didn't do it anymore. I wish we just stayed on one time throughout the year.
I'm not. Although I do like it when we turn it, when we
Back
spring
the other
it,
way, right?
right, and it's light,
But
early,
it's a
late.
lot of money.
Supposedly it's saving money.
Yeah, it used to. I don't know if it still does.
I don't either. I don't know if it does anymore either. Sounds like a lot of people are in the congregation.
Yeah.
What is it? Oh, okay. Oh, finally hair is that stuff I shake on my head.
What? Ronnie?
So
Muted her. Can talk.
Oh, I didn't bring the water.
I'll do
I'll go,
that. Right.
because I can get out and be back in a second.
Shabbat shalom.
I brought yours and mine.
No, I have mine, I have one here.
Oh,
It's
all right.
okay, thank you. So what are we doing?
7:20.
You read all those numbers or whatever it is. You
I
can-
don't know if we got this. What?
What do you do? What are we waiting for?
No, listen.
Yeah, we're on.
You know, can't you do it on the TV? The,
No.
Jane and Lenny.
Hi, Lois.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How you feeling, Betty?
Good, thank you. I feel much better.
We should probably mute ourselves because it's being live streamed at this point.
Okay.
Hello, Shabbat Shalom. My name is Mindy Littman, and on behalf of Congregation Beth Chaim, it is an honor to welcome you to our Shabbat service this evening as we Zoom from the synagogue. For those who wear hearing aids with the T-Foil program, you can access our hearing loop using this program. We have headphones for those who do not have a compatible hearing aids, and we have a large print prayer books as well, both located in the back of the sanctuary. We want to maintain a warm and welcoming feeling for these services and create a sacred space that will inspire prayer. For those on Zoom, please help us by staying muted unless the clergy invites you to unmute and participate. And for those praying with us in person, we ask you to turn off your cell phones and be present with us. Also, please keep your mask on covering both your nose and your mouth the entire time you are in our building. Although we are physically separated and masked, we are all one community in prayer and celebration. As we prepare to begin our Shabbat service, I want to share a bit of my Jewish journey with you. I grew up in a conservative synagogue in Northeast Philadelphia. Once or twice a month, my family would walk to the synagogue on Friday night or Saturday morning to celebrate Shabbat. The walk itself was a time for the family to connect with one another after a long and busy week. The synagogue was full of friends and neighbors, having seen one another and enjoying being part of the Jewish community. As an adult, I am so grateful that my family found Beth Chaim. Here, we are part of a warm, inclusive Jewish community with caring clergy and an array of programs of interest. I take joy in seeing young families and good friends with one another and count myself lucky to be part of our community at Beth Chaim, celebrating Shabbat together. As we move into the sacredness of Shabbat, please join us in song and prayer.
We can turn to our prayer books, page 24, for a classic Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharei, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Lothem L'Shalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Malchuni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seichem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
I want to welcome everyone who's with us tonight in person, by Zoom, and by YouTube. For those attending virtually, our sanctuary is busting at the seams tonight. I'm so incredibly grateful that family and friends have come from near and far, some from college, to be with us tonight, both in times of sadness to lend support to one another, but also in times of joy. And it is my pleasure to invite Ella Dorfman up as Beth Chaim's newest B'nai Mitzvah. And I'm going to invite her family to join us as we turn to Candles and Kiddush, starting on pages 2 and 3 in your prayer books. And she is joined by her siblings, her parents, and her grandparents, Arlene and Stan Dorfman, and Ruth and Paul Murray. Come on up. Pages 2 and 3 in your prayer books.
Source of light and truth, creator of eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter the sanctuary in need, all who bring offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
So first we'll light the candles. Amen. And now, Ella, you can pour the grape juice. As I ask everyone who is able to please rise, we turn to page 5 in our prayer books for Kiddush, our blessing to sanctify the fruit of the vine and this day of rest, Shabbat. And we almost have enough for everybody up here to have their own cup. Definitely every couple. So Ella, if you'll just grab a little cup. Everyone else, you're welcome to pass while Ella leads us in the Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodesh.
You do or you don't?
I'm not impressed with.
Zikaron lema'aseh bereshit ki hu yom tehila lemikra kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim ki banu b'harta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodeshecha v'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
Amen. L'chaim, we do the slip and sip. And we'll close out with a reading on page 8. You may be seated. Everyone except these folks. You stay. Page 8. Ella, one more reading, page 8.
I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics, and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life.
Ella, we're so excited to celebrate you this Shabbat. If everyone could please join me in a mazel tov. You get to relax for the rest of tonight's service, and we look forward to hearing more from you tomorrow morning. We'll continue in our prayer books on page 20. 20 for Lechado D. We'll sing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. When we hit verse 9, we'll ask everyone to please rise and face the entrance as we greet the Sabbath bride. Page 20.
Lechado di Rakana Kenik Shabbat Nekabela Lechado di Rakana Kenik Shabbat Nekabela Shamor Zachor V'Dibor Echad Ishmeyanu El HaMiyuchad Adonai Echad Shemo Echad B'Shem U'Tiferet V'Nitila Lechado di Likrat Kala Kenik Shabbat Nekabela Lechado di Likrat Kala Kenik Shabbat Nekabela Likrat Shabbat Lechu V'Nircha Ki V'Kor HaBracha V'Rosh V'Kedem Nesucha Sef Ma'aseh V'Machshava Techila Lechado di Likrat Kala Kenik Shabbat Nekabela Lechado di Likrat Kala Kenik Shabbat Nekabela Hitoreri, hitoreri, ki va'orech umi ori, uri, uri, shir daberi, kevod Adonai alayich nigla, lechado di, likrat kala, kenik Shabbat nekabela, lechado di, likrat kala, kenik Shabbat nekabela. בואי בשלום מטהרת בעלה, כך בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני המסגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי, לקראת חלה, בין שבת נקבלה,
greet them Shabbat Shalom, maybe meet somebody new that you didn't know before you came tonight. Shabbat Shalom. And we're going to ask everyone to please stay standing as we turn to page 26.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
Amen.
ועלמא יברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי. בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. ישמר רבה מברך. לעולם נולד מעלמיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. להאמין כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן.
Page 28. All goodness and truth are yours, O God. May no evil estrange us from you. Let error not confound us. Help us understand your will. In adversity and prosperity, may your law be our light. May our deeds reflect your love. Page 34.
Baruch Shem Kevod בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי בשרך היום על לבבך. ושיננתם בבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם מאוד על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבך על מזוזות ביתך על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
A very old song aroused me into life when it drove away my low spirits with its royal language. A song of a generation silenced from the days of old aroused me into life. We join together in that very old song on page 40.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נער בקודש. נורא תהילות אוסף אליהם, נורא תהילות אוסף אליהם. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה. אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. Somewhere
44 at the top.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים, את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of ascent is all the time, even at unlikely times and through unlikely places. There is no place on earth without the presence. We turn to Amidah, our central prayer that begins on page 46. Please rise as you are able as we continue on the even-numbered pages.
Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai lai. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid teilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר, מושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, וחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו, אישי אחר, מי כמוך בגבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, לחיי הכל. אתה קדוש, ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום ינלו חסלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. On page 58, we'll need the first three words, Modim Anachnu Lach. We are thankful to you as we want to take this moment with our community, with our family, with our friends, to acknowledge all the blessings in our lives. So if there's something you would like to acknowledge with us, with your Bethlehem family tonight, we'd love to say thank you to the source of all blessing with you. Anyone want to go first? Go for it, Arlene. Oh, another Arlene. Yay! Did you say in Maine? Okay, fantastic. To spend Thanksgiving with family in Maine. The other Arlene. Really grateful to be celebrating together a milestone moment. We'll pause to say thank you together. In the right key.
Key change. מודים אנחנו לך, מודים אנחנו לך.
Other blessings. Joanne. Having the college kids home, some of whom surprised their families. Really nice. Other blessings. Go for it. You're happy that your family is healthy. That definitely deserves a thank you.
מודים אנחנו לך, מודים אנחנו לך.
I'm thankful that my 5-year-old got his first shot this week. Soon enough, soon enough. Any other blessings? I was really grateful to be driving down, it must be Village Road, and just all the trees that lined it were this brilliant, beautiful red. And they hadn't dropped yet. And it was just the perfect fall moment right before Shabbat. And then to be together tonight. Oh. Grandmother thankful for her granddaughter's birthday. One at a time, one at a time. Grateful for vaccines in general. All right, Canner.
מודים אנחנו לך, מודים אנחנו לך.
And the scientists and the doctors who help us get there. And we turn to page 60 in our prayer books for Shalom Rav, the one thing we get to ask from God on even God's day of rest: peace, shalom, wholeness, and healing now.
שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. כתוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. ברוך אתה אדוני המברך את עמו, את עמו ישראל השלום. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל
take a few moments for silent prayer to be inspired by the words of our prayer books or to offer up the prayers of our own hearts.
רצוני ברפי בגאון ליבי לפניך אדוני סורי אדוני סורי
Our thoughts now turn to all those in our lives in need of healing. Healing of the body, healing of the mind, healing of the heart, and healing of the soul. There are many in our community who want to send their prayers out to loved ones. Many of those names appear on the screen now, but if you would like to add a name to this list and dedicate this prayer of Misha Beirach, I invite you to share those names out loud now. Jerry. In their honor, we dedicate this prayer for healing. Cantor, where can we find it?
Page 253.
253 as we skip ahead.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
are in the first of the 5 books of Moses, and it feels like every week as we wade our way through the book of Genesis, there's just so much to read. So many stories, some familiar and some less well known. Well, this week is absolutely the case with Parashat Vayishlach, and we'll hear about the beginning of that Torah portion tomorrow when Ella teaches us so beautifully about what happens to Jacob on his return home. But I want to fast forward to chapter 34, which is all about one of the least well-known of Jacob's children. For he had 12 sons who became the leaders of the 12 tribes of Israel. But chapter 34 is dedicated to his one daughter. Her name was Dinah. And this is what we hear about Dinah at the beginning of this portion. Now Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had borne to Jacob, went out to visit the women of the region. When Shechem, son of Hamor the Hivite, prince of the region, saw her, he seized her and humbled her. And his soul was drawn to Dinah, daughter of Jacob. He loved the girl and spoke tenderly to her. So Shechem spoke to his father Hamor, saying, "Get me this girl to be my wife." The Hebrew is not clear. It's not 100% sure if Dinah was okay with what Shechem did. Was this a love story, 2 strangers who met out in the open but fell in love quickly and maybe went out of order in the ancient world? Or was Dinah a victim? Was Shechem using his power to get what he wanted? What we do know is that what happened next is not pretty. Shechem has every desire to marry Dinah. He wants to make it right, or he wants to spend the rest of his life with her. And he commits himself so very much to her and her family that he agrees to the family's condition that not only he, but all the men in his town will become circumcised, just like the children of Israel, to show that they want to throw their lot in with this family, that they're going to bring their families together in this partnership with God. But 2 of Dinah's big brothers took it upon themselves that while the men of the town were recovering for what was major surgery for adults, that they slew them all while they slept. And Dinah was never married, and instead spent the rest of her life in shame, which her brothers used to advance their own agenda. It's a really hard story. Books have been written about it, movies have been made about it. If you haven't read Anita Diamond's book, The Red Tent, I highly recommend you do, because there's only so much the Torah tells us and we have to fill in the rest. But I cannot help but divorce this story in our Torah reading from something that very powerful that happened in the Jewish world just last week. Something you might not have heard about. The cantor and I studied at the seminary, the Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion. And our seminary has been doing a lot of hard work, along with the Reform Movement and the Central Conference of American Rabbis, to look at our stories, which are not pretty. Our stories that we might not have wanted to include, but that need to be told. Stories where women were often left to the devices of the powerful men in their lives. And the report that was compiled by a law firm that had no relationship with the College Institute released their report last Tuesday that told of very troubling stories, not only, but of many women who were humiliated, who were humbled, who were put in difficult positions, and often left with nothing but shame. And it was heartbreaking for me, less so because I never knew personally the few rabbis who were named, but because of the rabbis I knew who knew. and didn't say anything, or thought they tried but didn't try hard enough. And the most important piece of the report was that, unlike Dina, whose voice we never hear, who, after she goes out, never gets to act in her story again, the point of this report was for people to find their voice and use their voice and share their story and tell their side of the story, to be heard even when their oppressors may be no longer living, even when none of these people are in power anymore. But yet still, the story needed to be told, as hard as it was. And I feel for my friends and my colleagues for whom this story is much more personal. And I wonder how the relationships with the people who are still alive, who knew, are going to change, including some of my professors. And I spoke earlier today, with a fifth-year student and asking, what are students talking about now that this report has come out? Because I'm in the field. I'm already 8 years distant from the institution, as much as I care about it. And as a fifth-year student, she has 1 foot in and 1 foot out. She's getting ready to become a rabbi of her own. Last year, they didn't even get to see anybody in real life. And it's hard. It's hard. Most of her professors are women. So it's different for her than it was even for me and for the folks who came before me. The challenges that many students today are facing are more with folks who are not gender conforming, LGBTQ, or Jews of color. But that came out in this report too, that anyone who has less power than the mainstream can be easily or made to be vulnerable. And that Judaism has always taught us to care for the most vulnerable, the widow and the orphan, those who don't have the same structures in place to give them power or to enable them to do what they need to do. And so HUC-JIR has a lot of work to do. We're waiting for the reports from the Reform movement and from the Rabbinic movement, or the Rabbinic organization. But we know that they're going to reveal similar stories, and they're also going to talk about what are the systems we have in place to make sure these things never happen again, that there are no more Dinas, however that might look. And the report ends on a note of hope. The 40-page, very difficult to read report talks about how do we make it right? What does tshuva or repentance look like? And Judaism believes that there's always a chance to repent and make it right. And yes, there are people who made bad choices and acted badly and hurt others, whom will never get to apologize for their actions or be held accountable because they're no longer alive. But the institutions that supported what they did, those institutions can begin to move the needle and make restitution. These institutions, including our seminary, which trains the Jewish leaders of tomorrow, has an opportunity to say, we've done wrong, we acknowledge it, we say it out loud as much as it hurts to do so. And here are the systems we're going to put in place to make sure that this never happens again. Systems like making sure that the Board of Governors and the faculty are representative of the student body. I heard from this fifth-year student earlier today that when one of my professors, who happens to be gay and is a woman, came in to teach, it started to move the needle because she was in a field that had been for thousands of years dominated by men, the field of Jewish law and Jewish text. And when she came in with a brilliant mind, one of the hardest professors I had, then certain men in power could no longer say that women couldn't do it. And the conversation started to shift. So the more we see the students reflected in the faculty and the lay leaders and the administration, the more that we represent the people who are in the pews in positions of leadership, the better we can bridge this gap and try to support the future leaders of tomorrow. I've always been interested in the story of Dina, probably as a woman, but also I've always wanted to finish her story. I've always been interested in other authors who have tried to fill in the gaps. I've really fought against some of the classical commentaries that said, who blamed the victim and said, because she went out, this is what happens. And saying, no, we're not going to blame the victim. We're not going to use the victim as a weapon, accusing them of bringing good people down. We're going to listen to them. We're going to hear them. We want to know what they have to say, and we're going to take it seriously. So I'm really incredibly proud of my institution. I'm curious to see what's going to happen next, but I'm very grateful for the people who have stood up and said that they want to be on the right side of history, that they want to make sure that the stories our children and our grandchildren tell are going to look different, and that everyone who goes to any institution in the Reform movement, the seminary, congregational life, camp, youth group, that they'll never feel like they were made to be less than, that they're going to feel like they matter, and that they see themselves in the leaders who are there to protect and to guide them, not to abuse their power. One of the lines I used when I applied for rabbinical school, it feels funny, but it's so true, is with great power comes great responsibility. And as a rabbi, I take that responsibility very seriously. And I pray that my colleagues, especially those coming out into the rabbinate now, do the same, and that we paint a very different picture for our future. We're going to now return to our prayer books, page 282, for the prayer Aleinu that reminds us of the hard work it is to repair this world, and that we can't just wish it away, but partner with God to make it happen. So I'll ask all who are able to please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב עיקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגבהי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated as we turn to page 289. The light of life is a finite flame. Like the Shabbat candles, life is kindled, it burns, it glows, it is radiant with warmth and beauty. But soon it fades, its substance is consumed, and it is no more. In light we see, in light we are seen. The flames dance and our lives are full. But as night follows day, the candle of our life burns down in gutters. There is an end to the flames. We see no more and are no more seen, yet we do not despair, for we are more than a memory, slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and life. We turn to page 294, and if I read the name of your loved one, I'll ask you to please rise at your seat, and then I'll ask everyone to join you. The following members of our community are in the period of Shiva, the first 7 days of mourning. Shara Hoffing is remembering her father, Dr. Cliff Gordon. Sandy and Joe Pucciati are remembering their daughter, Rachel. And this week, we said goodbye to our longtime congregant, Betty Ram. The following are in the period of Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning. Rona Millinger is remembering her father, Joseph Alkali. Helene Malter is remembering her uncle, Gerald Gittleman. Keith Sachs is remembering his friend, Teddy Molaski. Ellen Chason, her cousin, Terry Perkins. Lee Epstein, his mother, Marilyn. Adria Sherman, her brother-in-law, Jerry. And we remember the following yard sites, the anniversary of the passing of these loved ones. Rose Balin, Herman Barron, Barbara Letterman, Owen Brandt, Jules Archin, Bernard Goldstein, Jack Fetter, June Becker, Helen Karish, Albert Somlo, Arthur Horowitz, Esther Letzter, Jenny Glassman, Ruth Mandel, Paul Parker, Manya and Mendel Reich, Sylvia Welber, Jack Tepper, Ida Solf, Laurel Shedler, Florence Steinberg, Benjamin Hazard Stevens, Herman Strager, Suzanne Axelrod, Jack Weinstein, Lawrence Weiss, Irving Zislin, Herbert Bagel, Mitchell Zeiden, Pearl Klinger-Wernick, Arthur Schlosser, Jack Schreiber, Martin Solomon, and Robert Stern. In their memory, we rise as one community, and for all those who have gone before us, we recite together the words of Mourner's Kaddish on 294. Yit Gadol v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, B'alma divrach Hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechon uvyomechon u'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevarach Le'alam Ul'almei Almaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh V'yithadar V'yitaleh V'yitalel Shemei D'Kudisha Brichu Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata V'nechemata Da Amiran B'alma V'imru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chaim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'imramav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Zichronam Livracha, may their memories be a blessing. Please be seated as I invite Mindy back up for a few announcements.
We are so pleased that you've joined us for this Shabbat service. We hope that you found the service to be meaningful. Thank you to Adria Sherman and Cheryl Wexler for being our Zoom tech support tonight, with backup from Ann Berman-Waldorf. Again, I'm Mindy Littman, and Yumi Kierman is also here representing the Board of Directors. We will be available in the lobby after services to answer any questions and hear any comments that you have. There's a lot going on coming up this weekend here at Beth Chaim. Torah study will be held in the chapel tomorrow morning at 8:45. The B'nai Mitzvah family class will be meeting online at 9 o'clock, and Ella Dorfman will become one of our B'nai Mitzvah at 10:30. Mazel tov to the Dorfman family. Religious school will be meeting on Sunday morning. The adult ed class, Swimming in a Sea of Talmud, will meet in the chapel at 9:30. The gift shop is holding a Hanukkah sale in the lobby all morning on Sunday from 9 to noon. The Religious Practices Committee will meet on Zoom at 10:45. The Craftwork Havurah will meet in the lobby on Sunday afternoon at 1. And BCTY will be meeting at 1 p.m. in person here at Beth Chaim. We want to hear from you. The Reimagining Jews Task Force invites members to participate in a conversation to help plan for Beth Chaim's future. Please click the link on our weekly email. We're a very active and vibrant congregation. Please check our website, bethchaim.org, for notices of meetings, classes, and activities. You can see our calendar and further information in the newsletter, which is available just outside of the office. You may grab a copy on your way out and see any board member in the lobby for a full list of activities. Thank you again for joining us this Shabbat.
Thanks, Mindy. Cantor, what are we going to close with tonight?
So our closing song tonight has 5 Hebrew words, and 2 of them are Shabbat Shalom. If you really want the words, you can find them at the bottom of page 330. Ma yafeh hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma yafeh hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Ma yafeh hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Ma yafeh hayom. Shabbat Shalom.
We look back because tradition is important. We care about those who came before us. We want to learn from the mistakes of our ancestors. But we do this for our children, for the future, for our young people who we know are making a difference. And so this closing benediction is in their honor.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmarecha.
May God bless us and protect us.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May God's light shine upon us, and may God be gracious to us.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
May we always feel that the divine presence is near, and may we be blessed with the greatest gift of all, the gift of peace.
Amen.